You guys may receive a message or notification saying recording in progress as soon as it begins. And it says right here, recording has started. Let people in the meeting know that they are being recorded. And then there's the privacy policy. So everyone understands that this meeting is being recorded. Um, so we'll go ahead and just do this by the numbers. The time is now 7:05 p.m. We'll log that as our official start time. And this is a meeting of the Finance Committee of Brentwood HOA. The purpose of this meeting, there are three main purposes that we always go through this meeting. Number one is familiarization, and that means to provide familiarization of the association financial matters to the homeowners. Number two is the annual budget development. And number three is research and analysis. And that entails providing research analysis services to the board of directors on financial matters. There'll be more to come on that later. Our board, I'm sorry, there's another person in the lobby. Let me go ahead and admit them. Looks like Nicole is joining and somebody else is joining. Okay, so we have Nicole, looks like she just joined. And there's a phone number that ends in 1125. Who is 112? Okay, great. So you had to dial in order to get be able to speak.
Yes.
All right. So again, another reminder: this meeting is being recorded. And what we did is we just went over the three main purposes of our monthly committee meeting. And again, that entails familiarization, budget development, and research and analysis. I just had a weird indication on my device. Can everyone still hear me? Theron, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, you can. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
I was just making
sure.
sure.
I couldn't get the mute.
Okay. Yeah, I got a weird indication on my device, so I was trying to make sure I was still connected. Now, our official committee members are myself, Amanda Morris, and Leslie King. So, for a quick roll call, I am present. I see Leslie King is present, and I don't see Amanda. Amanda does not appear to be present, so I'll indicate her as being absent. And we have also joining us, we have our interim treasurer, Mr. Theron Gore. He's here with us. And so tonight, what we're going to do as far as an agenda, in the vein of our three main functions of familiarization, budget development, and research and analysis. Under familiarization, we're going to look at we're going to review the financial report that's provided by Barkin. Well, I'm also going to introduce a management report that's provided by Barkin. Under budget and development, we'll look at some of the things entailed with the 2024 annual budget. And under research analysis, we'll look at some of the board directed initiatives that we've been working on. So first thing we'll look at is the under familiarization, we'll look at the financial report review. One thing I want to make sure is that everyone has access to the monthly financial report that's provided by Barkin on the Brentwood, the Barkin portal that's provided to Brentwood. So is there anyone that can actually on the call that can go into the Barkin portal and see if you can access that? I'm going to bring up a copy of that report uh, on our screen here and show you what you should be able to see.
So Michael, to answer the question, I can't get on the portal because it's in my wife's. She has account information. She's not here right now.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else can, but I know I don't have a username and password.
Okay, so it looks like Nicole is checking. While she's doing that, I'm going to bring up a copy of the report. What you should see, what you should be seeing on your screen right now, is a copy of the Barkin Management Financial Report for March of 2023.
It's on the screen. It's on the screen.
All right, wonderful. Now, this report is provided to or by Barkin every month, and the theory is it is available to all homeowners right now. So once you verify that, Nicole, if you could throw something in the chat indicating that you're able to get to it. The way that you navigate to that report, it says, yes, I can access the financial statement for January, February, and March. Okay, wonderful. So that means that all the homeowners should have access to this. And all you do is you just go to the Barkin portal, you log in, put your password in, you navigate to this area that called Documents. Click on the word Documents, you go to Financials, and it should say something like 2023 Financials. And the report that I have up is the one for March. That's why it says Brentwood HOA 0323. So the main thing that I want to look at on this report is pages 8 and 9, and for the purpose of this meeting. And the reason why is because this is a new method of reporting that we're getting from the new management company, and I want to coincide the numbers or the reference numbers that we're accustomed to seeing with the reference numbers that are being provided by Barkin. And I'm gonna just kind of scroll through to pages 8 and 9 and show you what I'm talking about. When you look here, this is a statement of income and forecast, and what we're really looking at are these numerical designations right here. These coincide with the COA numbers that we had on the old budget that we had, and I'll be bringing that up as well. So I'll bring up also the budget meeting notice that was provided by Century. And in that budget meeting notice, the actual annual budget was listed here. So what you should see on your screen right now is the annual budget. This is actually, it says proposed here, but this was actually the budget that was approved by the board last year. And if you notice here, where I'm kind of highlighting it with my mouse here, these COA numbers, they have they should be corresponding with the numbers listed on the document provided by Barkin. So these numbers here, I'll highlight one of them just so you can see it, should coincide with the numbers listed on the budget that we published. So for example, you see here, this one here that I have highlighted says garbage and trash removal. And then when you look at the annual budgeted amount of $106,920, highlight that there. It should coincide with the garbage and trash removal that we have here, which is right here. Trash removal right there. I just highlighted it there. So that's what we called it in the budget that we published. And if you see here, it's the same number, the $106,920 $920. What I have done is I'm gonna unshare this and bring up a spreadsheet that I created to kind of to show the correlation with all of those different numbers. If you look, bring up this document here. So this is essentially a duplication of the budget that we published. But if you notice, I have the Century COA numbers listed here, and then right next to it, I have the Barkin reference numbers here. Now, what I've done is I've gone through line by line and made sure that what we had on our annual budget, for example, for general maintenance, what Century called COA number 6035, Barkin calls their reference number 6541.100. And those numbers that were budgeted annually were definitely $6,600. So I just wanted to make sure that we were comparing apples to apples with what we're going to be publishing when we publish the new budget, and when we go through with these as we're reviewing these different reports that are provided by Barkin. I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions on what I've just talked about just now, because I want to make sure that everybody's tracking, because I'm going to be introducing a lot of different documents during this meeting. I'll pause just in case people are on mute. Give you some time.
No questions.
No questions? Okay. Let's see. So next, just going through my notes here. Next, I did want to show you the management report. Now, this management report, this is something that has not been made available to all homeowners. However, Barkin does provide on a monthly basis a management report to the board. What I am going to do is ask the board officially if this management report can be made available to the homeowners. And I'm going to ask that because this report is very detailed, it's very enlightening, and there's nothing listed on this report that's sensitive at all. Like there's no homeowners' personal information, nothing like that. I'll share my screen one more time just to show you a copy of what it looks like. So this is the March monthly management report, and one area of interest that's going to be valuable or some value to the finance committee in particular is pages 8 and 9. And I'm going to just scroll to those pages briefly just so you can see what I'm talking about. Pages 8 and 9, this is the schedule of service contracts. So this is what the management company is tracking as our active contracts. This information is going to be very valuable to us when it comes time to developing the 2024 budget, because we can't necessarily go by the last the copy of the budget that was made available to the homeowners, which was sometime last year, because in some of those areas there have been changes, there have been addendums to these contracts, particularly the landscaping contract, which you see here, where you see this annual amount here and how much is charged monthly. Well, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in this meeting. That is definitely changed. There's definitely been an increase, and we'll explain why. But again, this page is the information on this page is very valuable because it tells us what the service is. It tells us the company that's providing the service, the effective dates of that particular contract, and then the annual costs and any additional comments. So again, that's something that I'm going to be actively seeking board approval or board permission to provide these reports to the homeowners, just like the monthly finance report is provided. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah, Mike. Just Theron. So I guess my question is as the interim board on the board right now, I would think that the report that Barkin is providing, all the information should line up. And I guess my question is, what does the monthly report? What's the purpose of sharing that versus?
Okay, I'm gonna let me
versus
bring it let me bring it back up again. And that's a very good question. Um, the thing that I really like about this monthly report is the information is a lot more concise. When you look at the finance report, it's a lot. What they're showing you is they're showing you, for example, when you look at your screen, how much is expended out on a monthly basis, but it's a little bit more complicated to follow. Additionally, there's more information on this management report that's listed that you would not see on a finance report. So, for example, when you look here, you see like major projects and tasks. The thing that I'm personally interested in is from a finance committee perspective, from a budgeting perspective, is the service contracts. But then you also have, when you look at, for example, this financial review, the information, the way that the information is laid out here is a little bit more clearly understood than what you see on the finance report. And it's more of a snapshot. So I can definitely see the value in someone who doesn't have any type of accounting background, someone who isn't accustomed to looking at financials or anything like that. It's very. I think it would be very enlightening, and it would help people to understand it better. Another great value is the bid and proposal review. So I won't really turn to that page right now, but just seeing some of the things that are coming down the pipe, I think that would be very something very beneficial for the homeowners to see, because in these meetings and even sometimes on some of these unofficial platforms, you'll see people having questions. What exactly are we doing, and what are these things that?
Let me interject. I get where you're going with that. So maybe the two suggestions I would make is that maybe we ask Barkin to simplify the report that they send out, so it's not in a budget, quote unquote, budget speak. And as far as the bid proposal review, the board is already in discussions about providing a summary of work, status of work projects. For example, we have there's a lot of concern about fences and fence repair and things like that. And we're in these discussions to provide some type of regular update on outstanding projects, so the community is aware of that, the process, that we understand the fences need to be repaired. We're in the process. This is the status of that job. So I think if I'm following you, I think that's what you're getting at, is that, okay, we get the budget, what's budgeted, but what's the status of some of these things are in progress or not actually worked out thoroughly. I think we can accomplish that by asking Barkin to summarize that report that they send out, to give just a summary of it, and maybe not put it in accounting terms. And as far as like the status of projects, that's one of the things that I'm really pushing for, to give the community an update. Because like you said, when people are informed, it kind of squashes some of the questions and some of that quote unquote outrage or frustration that they feel with, oh, my dues went up, however the fences aren't repaired. So I've already asked the board to consider putting some type of summary or status of job requests, because I don't think everybody understands that we're not a private entity where we go hire somebody to do something. It's a process. You had to get bids. You had to get someone to accept the bids. You had to get a lawyer to review the contract, make sure all that stuff is in line. So we're pressing. I'm pressing to see if we can get something like that put out, because I think that's what some of the frustration comes from, is they just homeowners see the fences just not repaired and they don't know what's going on. So I think that's
Right.
important for us to let them know what's going on, what's the status of that.
Okay. Yep. And
That's a
again,
good suggestion.
yeah,
I was just saying that's
I
a
didn't
good
understand what she said.
suggestion.
Okay.
I didn't understand what she said.
Go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was just saying I agree. That's a good suggestion on the breakdown like that.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement, Mike. There needs to be more communication. And that's one of the things that I'm really going to try to make sure there's more, everything is, as much as possible, is more transparent, and letting everyone know the status of jobs, because the board gets a monthly report, like Michael is speaking of, this is the status of this project. I think that we need to convey that message to the homeowners so they know, what the status of the projects are.
Okay. And my thinking was in order to avoid Barkin having to create multiple products with similar information, just make it, and also potentially avoid any additional costs that might be associated with that. Just have this document that they're already providing to the board available also to the homeowners, just to simplify it. But I mean, of course, that's a board decision. This is just a request.
No, I agree with you,
that,
Mike. I
that I'll
think
be
that
making.
we've already talked to Era. So, like, for instance, when you pull up the budget spreadsheet, it has outdoor creation listed in 3 or 4 different places. It's all really just a landscaping contract. We've already had
Correct.
discussion with Era to simplify that. It's landscaping. Let's not break this up into different categories. All the landscaping contract. Let's say what it is. So I get what you're saying, Mike, and I'm in agreement with you. I just want you to know that we're already in discussions of how to simplify and to communicate better with the homeowners.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. So are there any questions about the information depicted on the management report being provided to the homeowners? If not,
I
what
have no
I'll do is
questions.
okay, wonderful. I'll move on to the budget development uh, for the 2024 annual budget. So I wanted to make sure that at least we in this committee know that there's an annual budget meeting that is scheduled for 7 p.m. on the 19th of October. And during this meeting, the annual budget for 2024 will be voted on by the board of directors. This will be the time where it will be voted on and enacted. Now, in accordance with the rules, we have to have a draft of this budget available to the homeowners at least 30 days prior to that meeting. So the goal is no later than the 19th of September, which will be 30 days prior to the annual budget meeting, we will provide a draft of the budget, just like what we did last year, a draft of the budget to the homeowners. So sometime between now and the 19th of September, we are looking to, in this committee, uh, uh, develop a draft of the budget and submit it to the board of directors for their review to see if it's okay for us to provide that to the homeowners. In order to do that, we're going to need to do things like review all of the active contracts. We're going to need to review the upcoming expenses that we know about, known upcoming expenditures, and even consider known upcoming income in the form of new home sales, new homeowners in the area. Or so, for example, right now we are basing our budget on 540 units. However, by the time we actually publish this draft of the budget, I'm pretty sure we're going to have more than 540 units. So that has to all be taken into consideration. Are there any questions on the budget development? Okay. Well, if not, then what we'll do is
Mike,
we'll
one
move on
question. I
to,
couldn't get the mute. I couldn't get the mute fast enough.
okay. And also here's another thing. It's not really necessary for us to keep our mute on because there's so few of us. And we're all, this is kind of a working committee as opposed to, large numbers of people at the board meeting. So this is a lot more informal than the typical board of directors meeting. So it's okay for everyone to leave their phones off mute if you so choose.
Yeah, I just had some background noise. I didn't want to disturb the meeting, but it
Yes,
was
sir.
my understanding when I talked to the board that Barking was going to be developing the budget as a part of their contract. The reason I say that is that I don't want to remove the committee from their place in the process, but my understanding was that Barkin would develop it, and then we, as a board and the committee, would approve it. So if Michael, if you have a different understanding, like I said, I've only been little more than a month on the board, but that was my understanding that Barkin was going to develop the budget for us to approve.
That's actually even better. Uh, uh, the question is, do you know when Barkin is going to provide that budget for review?
Nope, but I definitely will ask and find out. I'll make a note to find out what's the timeline for that. But I am pretty sure they're aware of the 30-day deadline. But I would definitely double check and get back to you and let you know what's the
So
deadline for that.
okay, I'm going to make a note of that. Uh, just writing this down.
Yeah,
I think I may have heard a little bit of that, but I wasn't totally sure about that or
yeah.
didn't have a clear understanding.
I think the previous board wrote that into Barkin's contract that they are to develop the budget.
That is perfect because they're going to have more detailed information about the active contracts.
Absolutely.
So they're definitely in a better position.
And they should include the new houses as a part of that budget.
And see, that's yet more information that they'll have that we wouldn't have. Let's see.
Yeah. I have a question about, as far as just mentioned about the new houses, because you mentioned there's currently 504 units. What additional homes will there be?
Again, that's more of a question for Barking because they have purview of that. But I do know that there's another section that is being incorporated in our community, and I don't know how many home sales are entailed in that or included in that.
Well, I will say that what should be included in this year's budget is the 540 houses that we currently have, plus Section 7. Section 7 is the new section as you come in Brandcroft off to the left if you're driving into the community. That section, the HOA is taking over. Those houses should be incorporated into the budget. Now, the new houses that are being built at the end of Mary Lee Court, those should not be because they're not built yet, and two, the HOA hasn't taken over. But I'm not sure the exact number to answer your question that are going to be included, but there is an additional number from those houses in Section 7.
Okay, in Section 7, is that over there where the pavilion is located?
Yeah, across from there. So when you're driving in on the main Bancroft, it's the new houses to the left.
Okay, okay. And I actually live on Murray Lee. I didn't realize they were putting up new houses.
Yeah.
I just thought they were developing that exit street in order to get onto Bentonville. I didn't realize they were putting up new homes.
Yeah, there are gonna be houses there. I stay on Mary Lee as well. I'm at the very end. And
Okay.
so yeah, I'm all too familiar with the construction. But
Yeah, because I was wondering what was taking them so long just to build a road. Now,
yeah,
it's understandable. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And when I talked, because I actually had to call the county inspector because of some damage that was done in my house. From my understanding, when I talked to them about 6 months ago, they said that it would take about a year for the road to be complete and about 2 years for the houses to be complete. So that's just FYI. They're working towards it.
Okay.
So I would say probably 2 years or so before that section is probably turned over to the HOA. So it would probably not be included in any of the budget for probably 2 years or so.
And you didn't say, but how many, the new units in Section 7, how many are those?
I don't know the exact number. I didn't say
Okay.
because I don't know the exact number, but I know there is an addition. And that's what Michael is going to talk about later, the addendum to the landscaping contract. That addendum is to cover
Oh,
Section 7 grass cutting.
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, that's a perfect segue into the the last area we're going to cover, and that's the research and analysis function of this committee. Um, so one of the main initiatives that we were working on was a outdoor creations landscaping contract addendum meeting that took place on the 10th of April at 5 p.m. In attendance were the board of directors, including president, secretary, and Mr. Theron, our interim treasurer. Also in that meeting was the marketing account executive, Era Ellis Rutland, and myself as the finance committee chair. And the topic was definitely the addition of Section 7 and the funding that will be required to finance the costs associated with providing landscaping services to that additional section. So we actually, it was determined that an additional $15,500 approximately was needed to finance the additional funding needed to take care of those, to take care of that section. So the plan that the board agreed on was to, in an effort to not have to have a special assessment levied on the homeowners, or to, I guess that probably would have been the only other option. In order to avoid that, what they did is there were certain maintenance services that the board is going to use the funds for these maintenance services to cover that $15,000, and the actual money that's going to be required to cover those maintenance services is going to come from our reserves. I'll see if I can show you this in a spreadsheet that I had here. Let me see if I can share my screen again. Just so you can see a visual of what we're looking at. So let me share my screen, go to Excel. Okay. So I'm not sure if you can see the spreadsheet that's on your screen right now.
We can see it.
Okay. All right. So again, we needed $15,000 in order to cover the cost. So on our budget, what we did is we took the amount for ground services, for the fence and gate repairs, for the pond maintenance, and for the trail maintenance. And if you add up all of those items, it totals approximately $15,525. So the money that's reserved for these services is going to actually be paid out of the reserve funds. The the money that we save is going to be used to cover the cost of the Section 7 landscaping. I'm trying to make this as clear as possible, just so you can kind of see it visually. But does everyone understand exactly what's happening with that? I can try to go to another tab.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I can see what you're saying with that. So a question I have, I could see that utilizing the reserve fund, that would be for this current year or for 2024?
It's for this current year because
So
we have to.
Okay, so
I go. No. I see where you're going. Go ahead and ask your question.
yes. So the only thing I was going to say is, okay, so I could see this as being a temporary relief for the homeowners, as you're saying. So come next year, though, we'll be incorporating normally, like we normally would have done, as far as incorporating those houses into, basically the $15,000 will be rolled into next 20. I mean, not, it won't be rolled into, but we'll be allotting $15,000 as part of next year's cost increase to our homeowners association. So we probably won't have another reserve then, right?
Well, we're
can't-
not
I mean,
going
we can't
to
maintain-
We're not going to keep pulling from the reserves only for this year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So at the end of the day, yes, I see where you're going with this. Yes, that's going to be even a greater increase, and even
then
greater
one other
increase.
go ahead. And then one other question in regards to that reserve. The last time I was on call with you, we had that whole, I'm not exactly sure what you call it, but this thing that Maryland is requiring homeowner associations to have money set aside for if anything happens. Remember, you were telling me before how the previous whoever was handling Century or whatever, they never informed us that we need to have this set of money set aside for, I guess, like emergency purposes. And so that's one of the reasons why our homeowners association had increased so much, because we're behind and we're trying to play catch up.
I'll go ahead and clear that up just a little bit. What it is in the state of Maryland. Well, first of all, let's back up. We've always had reserves. We've always had an account for reserves for replacements, and you see that here on your screen here. And what we were doing, if you look, this column that I have highlighted here, this was what was budgeted for 2022, right? So if you go to your reserves for 2022, what we were doing for several years is reserving $5,000 in our reserves just to go into the reserve account. What happened was, and I believe this is partially attributed to that condominium that collapsed in Florida or wherever it was. Governor Hogan said that the state of Maryland, in the state of Maryland, all HOAs and condos have to have a reserve study done. Now, we've never had a reserve study done. And because of this law, it required us to have a reserve study. And this law also required us to contribute the minimal amount annually into our reserve study every year. This was never a requirement before. So it's not like the old, like the developer or the people that were managing the HOA before. It's not like they were breaking the law per se. It wasn't a rule. They weren't required to do it. Well, now we're required to do it. And what we have to do is annually, we have to contribute. I thought I had it written here. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if you can, I'm going to see if you can see this. But we have to contribute annually $55,963 according to the results of our reserve study. This is every single year. What we said was, okay, that's a huge hardship. We can't just, or the powers that be at the time, the board said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to break up this increase. So we're not going to, because I believe we have 5 years to reach that annual contribution amount, right? So instead of saying next year, which would have been 2023, this year, we're gonna contribute the entire like 54,000 or whatever, 55,963 dollars. I'm sorry, 3 years was the date. What we did is we broke it up over the course of 3 years. We said this next year, which would have been this year, 2023, we're going to contribute 18,000. The year after that, we'll increase that from 18,654. We're going to increase it to 37,308. And then finally, that last year, we'll meet the annual contribution amount of $55,963 contributed every single year. Okay, so this isn't speaking to, hey, how much is in your reserves right now per se. This is how much we have to contribute annually, according to the reserve study. Is that somewhat clear? Because it's very important that we as homeowners understand exactly why this is happening and what exactly is going to happen. So there was already going to be okay, perfect. Thank you.
So Michael,
so
this is why,
yes, sir.
Again, this is why I want to make sure that homeowners are aware and we're communicating. I say not all homeowners. Most homeowners just see their dues going up and don't understand why. That's why I'm pushing for the transparency to understand that the way the budget works is we only pay for services that we use. We only do things that we're required to. Basically, at the end of the year, it's a zero balance. The law requires us to contribute to the reserve, so we have to do that. But this is not a profit organization. So that's why I'm pushing for transparency and communication with homeowners to let them know that, yes, for the next 3 years, our dues are going to go up every time. And they may also go up again for increase in services. My thing is, homeowners need to understand that the dues, I think, were the same for, I know at least I moved in 2019, so that's 4 years. So I don't remember the exact date that it was said that the way it was. But what I want everybody to understand is that there is nothing that we paid for 6 years ago that's the same price. So that's what homeowners have to understand, that lawn services go up, trash services go up. Guess what? The only way we can pay for that is increase fees. And it's unfortunate, but that's what we're doing. That's what we have to do. And that's why I'm really pushing for the transparency, the transparency education to homeowners to realize that the board is not exempt from, first of all, we're not exempt from any fees. We pay it just like everybody else. So there's no advantage of us. Any increase is an increase on us as well. So that's why I'm really pushing for the communication and the education to know that if fees go up, it's because costs went up. There's no other way we can control it.
Yeah, I've been here since 2013, so I've seen where the dues was, the same for a couple of years and everything, and then when things start going up, so.
Yeah, and I'll explain even further. So you were in 2013, so it went up. So that's 10 years it stayed the same. So one of the big things that people were complaining about was the cost of the landscaping contract. Well, we put it out for bids. And guess what? The current contractor that we had at the time, he raised his price by $40,000. So no matter who it was, costs were going to go up. And the lowest bid was the current contractor. And the highest bid we didn't go with. We went with the second to lowest bid because we were believers. Well, I say, speak for me. I'm a believer. You get what you pay for. So we didn't get the most expensive. We didn't get the cheapest. But regardless, if we had stayed with the contract we had before, it was going to go up by $40,000. Yes. So, and I don't think homeowners understand that, know it. And again, that's why I want to push for them to be informed.
Yes. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off of that, the only way homeowners are going to be informed is if they get involved. I mean, we have these meetings, we have these forums, and I've I haven't seen much more than at the max about 50 homeowners on any meeting ever. It's usually about 25. The max I've ever seen is 50. That's 10% of the community that is even listening. So, just to the credit of the board, in any of its incarnations, it's people you can try to be transparent, but if no one's listening, then
Yeah,
they're,
I
they're not
agree.
going to
Yeah.
know.
I
And
agree with you,
and
Michael, and that's why the landscaping committee has been temporarily disbanded because nobody was coming to the meeting. But what I found out is that maybe only 50 people are attending the meetings, and that's on the high end. But I hear a lot that everybody is hearing from Nicole's emails. That is my recommendation of how we advertise, because everybody's talking about Nicole emails. Everybody's like, I feel like I know Nicole. So Nicole is reaching people. So I think we need to
Uh-oh.
use we need to use
I was like, oh.
yeah, we need to use that distribution list to communicate with people.
Yeah, but you know what? Another thing we could possibly do is we have we have a committee that like I guess what events committee or something like that. We probably need to utilize them and not so much have like block parties or block get-togethers where where we can talk about these things, you know, in a more less formal type of setting where everyone's just hanging together, and we could do something like that.
I
To me,
agree.
I mean, just
My wife is the chair of
and
that committee, and she can't get.
yeah,
She's just like what Michael's saying. She can't get participation. So
I
what
know, but I'm
ends up
saying like by not so much like not like a big event, but like each block, like for example, like where we are on Murray Lee Court,
Mhm.
and then probably the street behind us, and then the street on the other side opposite from us. We can get together. And that, I mean, I remember when I first moved into the community, we had actually had a right, I think was his name, the guy in the White House at the corner where the tot lot said, I think that is. Anyway, we had to get together. Just had a block little get together. Everybody got together, and were talking and things like that. I think, with the weather changing, people being outside more, I think we could utilize that type of opportunity to inform homeowners about what's going on. And if we're able to do that by block, meaning that there's someone like a rep, like fortunately it's like two of us on our court, but maybe there's another a representative that lives on another court section and things like that. We can coordinate these things that way. We're people can get the information. I think that's the easier way to be able to get the message out. People happily to get together, gather, rather than call on the get on the phone and call like after work or something like that. Just something to think outside the box on how we communicate,
I
as
agree.
well as what Nicole is doing, as well as what Nicole is doing too.
I agree. I mean, we if we just get out, but the thing about it
Yeah,
is,
and then that. Go ahead.
no, I was just thinking we want to be one band, one sound. So if we having separate block parties, how do we make
No,
sure?
and yeah, but it's not so much separate block parties, so to speak. The only reason why I say it's kind of separate block parties is because it's a lot of people to try to have something at one big event. And I'm thinking it's easier to get these things in like bite-sized pieces, so to speak. Where it's a good opportunity for us to get to know who's on our street and the next street over, that kind of stuff. So I'm saying those are easy ways to get people engaged when you're doing like in small, so kind of like intimate, communication, so to speak. Just first and you get people acclimated, speaking to each other on a regular basis, and then like my neighbors, I tell them about some things I heard about what's going on in the neighborhood and vice versa, and get people to start feeling comfortable like that. Thinking if we start off just on a small note, so to speak, then I think that'll work. And then we'll see how things go, and then we could do something much larger, you know, or something like that. But I just think people like things, you know, not so much a big thing that you're expecting a lot of people to be there who won't be there versus
Just kind of
something
less formal, just meet
yeah,
and greet
less
type of thing.
formal, little, yeah, just do a little block get together. We could put notices in, you know, in the neighborhoods just on that surround us, you know, and then depending where Michael is located, he can do so for his like probably 2 blocks or something, and then wherever Nicole is located, she could do it where she is, and then we could get a couple of other people who's on the board, depending on where they are strategically placed within the whole entire development. They could do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't want to hijack Michael's meeting with events.
Yeah, sorry about that, Michael.
With
Yeah,
events,
yeah.
no,
that's okay.
but I will make sure that we bring it up at the next board of directors meeting. But yeah,
And
I
then,
think that's a good
and
idea.
then Theron, I can Michael has my email address. He could send it to you. That way you and I can talk, since we're actually neighbors, you know. So okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, this is I mean that's appropriate because this is the open discussion portion of our meeting. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up? Any ideas? Any interjections? Any thoughts?
I don't. Shameless plug. I'm running for treasurer to remove the interim term, so I definitely would appreciate each of your support. My promise, my pledge is to be transparent and to make sure that the community is aware of what's going on. So I definitely would be asking for your support.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well, if all hearts and minds are clear, we can begin to adjourn this meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 22nd of May at 7 p.m. As a reminder, we meet every 4th Monday of the month. I'll send out a reminder as well. If that be all, then we can adjourn the meeting. The time right now is 7:57 p.m. Anyone have anything else?
No, other than if you can, Michael, if you can send Theron my email address.
Absolutely.
For Leslie. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for joining and for your contributions. And we'll
Thank
talk to you next
Bye-bye.
time.
Nicole got one last question.
Right.
Nicole, I know
okay.
you got
No,
one
I
last
don't.
question.
No.
Nicole, Nicole, I know you got one last question.
You funny.
Oh, you just playing. Okay.
Okay. He's just messing with me.
All right.
I did that in the quarterly
Okay.
meeting. But thank you.
In the course.
All right. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
Okay,
Have
bye-bye.
a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.